I really love that as anecdotal evidence of how important it is to listen to your customers and hear what they're hearing. And if they're not hearing what you're trying to communicate, coming back and changing up your messaging and not just saying, well, you heard me wrong, and not changing the message. Carla A. Reid serves as General Manager and Chief Executive Officer at the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. She is the first woman to serve in this capacity. Reid is a civil engineer and senior executive with more than 30 years of business and leadership experience in the public sector. As GM CEO, Reid leads a 101-year strong water utility, the largest in Maryland, in all aspects of business. She serves as a board member of the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, Prince George's County Workforce Development Board, and the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, and is an active member in the community. A true champion of science, technology, engineering, and math education, Reid also advocates for programming that increases the number of girls and other underrepresented groups in these disciplines. In recognition of her professional achievements, community leadership, and mentoring, Reid was named one of the Daily Record's 2019 Maryland's Top 100 Women. Well, we certainly agree. And
doesn't surprise me.
No, not surprised at all. So, yeah. Carla, thank you so much for taking some time out to chat with us this morning. I know you're incredibly busy.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So last time we spoke, you showed us a blown up picture that you have in your office from your childhood. I'll let you explain what's going on in that picture. But given that picture, do you think that you chose water, or did water choose you?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So first, I guess I should tell you what the picture is so that you can get a visual of this. Well, one Christmas day, when I was about 4 years old, I happened to be dressed up in a nice red and white dress, and my dad came by the bathroom. I guess I was in the bathroom, actually using the bathroom with the door open, because I was a 4-year-old kid, didn't really have too much shame at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
there it is.
Yep, there it is. And so I'm in this bathroom, and you can see me on the toilet. Clearly, I'm on the toilet, even though my dress is covering up everything. And you see the pipes for the sink and the faucet and everything else. And I guess probably a few years ago, I came across that picture. I'd forgotten that it had been taken at all. So back to your question, water choose me, or did I choose water? I say that water chose me, even though I would like to say that I chose water. I just think that the picture that was taken of me just confirms that it was my destiny to be in water. And my dad was famous for taking pictures of all of my siblings doing something that they actually decided to have a career in.
Oh,
So he actually took a picture of my sister, who's right above me, at a table with some wax figures in a museum, and now she's the chair of a museum studies department.
what?
Yeah. And another sister's a librarian. When she's about 12, she's sitting at a desk with stacks of books just coming up to her head.
Wow.
It's incredible. So I do think that water chose me. I want to say that I chose water, but it did. I can't think I can honestly say that. But definitely I was destined to be here in this profession.
Nice.
Well, that's definitely the angle that we hear a lot of, is most people are like, well, I kind of have a weird journey of how I got into water, but it's not really weird because everyone's journey is different and it's not planned. So we're glad that water did choose you.
But I have a little twist to your question, though.
Okay.
I think I chose to be CEO because because I put it on my vision board in 2014. It was my 2015 vision board. By the end of 2015, I was getting this job offer and started work January 2016. So I chose to be a CEO.
I love it.
Well, I'm glad you said that because we are huge fans of the vision board. We have ours. We actually need to update ours. We need to do another one, but we've had some things on that come true.
I know.
So we believe in that 100%. We're also fans of a certain definite article. That's a shout out to all my grammar nerds out there. And it's the word "the." all caps, of course. So our Twitter and Instagram handle is the H2 Duo, which we claim because the Tom Ferguson at Imagine H2O said that we were inimitable, so we claim it. You want to be the world-class water utility, and dare we say the world? So that's a bold statement. One of our core values is to be bold. So we love that. How do you permeate your organization with that level of boldness? Like, how do you rally your team around that idea of being the world-class water utility?
Well, the way I get everybody excited about our vision is to just say it and say it and say it over and over again, repeat it. They know what I'm going to say before I even say it. It's like they're finishing the sentence when I started. In college, I was a cheerleader. I was a captain of the cheerleaders in college, and I take advantage of how to motivate people using that type of excitement. But beyond that excitement, deep down, I'm just passionate. And and I know that we will be the world-class water utility where excellent products and services are always on tap. Um, and I just, continue to do that. And I do that by when I visit our employees, I go and I know that they know that I'm accessible to them. And I'm just deliberate with continuing to drive home the point of being world class and really pointing out the examples of when we achieve that so that we can do more of that.
And I have to say that we already think that you have one of the coolest communication directors, because I wish all y'all could see this interview while it's happening, because every time she says something, like, Chuck seems to have something directly related. Yeah, he has props. He's in the background. So if you hear us laughing, it's because Chuck's back there.
Yeah. And one other thing I'll say too is that I do these meetings called Come in Unity.
Mm.
And I always go around to all of the facilities that we have, and it says come in unity, but it's like it means community
Yeah.
when you say it really fast. And in those meetings, again, I try to emphasize the importance of us working toward that vision. And every single board meeting that we have, we begin with that vision.
I love that. I love that. I wanted to tell you a quick story based on permeating kind of your message. I love that you talked about talking about it, because that is so important. And one time when we were still with our city, we had this regional meeting that used to move from city to city, and different cities hosted it. And one time we did, and there's kind of like a little networking. Everyone catches up for a minute beforehand, and there's some sort of snack. And for ours, we served Kool-Aid. And but so a lot of times we do things and every little thing means something. And so we were preaching, I forget what it was we were preaching about that time, but something related.
We were going to tell them about Catalyst.
Oh yeah. We were
getting their thoughts on this idea of something like Catalyst happening.
Yeah, which is our mastermind communication summit that we do. And so at the end of it, we said, so y'all drank the Kool-Aid, so you guys gave this. And they were like, oh.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Wow. I love it.
Yeah, they already drank it. So
yeah, they already drank it, so they had to be committed.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Well, we believe that you should live, eat, breathe your core values, and they become so ingrained that when people ask us to list them, it's hard because they're really just a habit to us at this point. So what are your core values, and how are they being integrated across daily life at the WSSC?
Okay, so we have 5 core values. First one is accountability, then collaboration, environmental stewardship, excellence, and innovation. So those are our 5 core values. New this year to the lineup are collaboration and innovation. And the way we got to add those was that we did this, I said I do come in unity, but I also did strategic planning with anybody who wanted to participate in. I had 3 big meetings at 3 different locations, and we did the Soar analysis. And Soar is strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and what results do we want to get. And so, in talking to all the employees and getting their feedback about our core values and what we should have as priorities, we came to the conclusion that we had to add collaboration and innovation. It's something that we all believe in, particularly me. I think that that's just the game changer. You talk about being world class. I
Mhm.
think that actually collaborating and innovation and communication are those key ingredients to making sure that you come world class. Now, also, innovation is so important to me and to WSSC that I've elevated it to the general manager's office, and it's the team that we've created is called Innovation and Strategy, or Strategy and Innovation Office. I get them mixed up, Strategy and Innovation Office. And I really do see that as the future, not only for us, but for the sector. And what that team does is they focus on our strategic performance, and they have all kinds of measures that they take and share, and we talk about. And also, we look to those frequently, that data frequently, to make decisions about our assets and everything else that we do. And the next thing, of course, is the actual innovations. And we're talking about innovations everywhere, not just in technology or equipment, but in our processes as well. How do we do those things? And so we have now a couple of patents that we are trying to get approved. We put in the applications, and we have a business development person who's in that office as well. So we do plan to market these innovations, and we see that really as the key to our total success.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that you talked about, or that you include communication in terms of, because you can get innovative in the way that you're communicating. And
Mhm.
so I love that you include that. Like Tom Ferguson, again, from Imagine H2O, gave this great quote. And I think an interview he did with Travis Loop, but talked about how sometimes innovation is just simply looking at something through a different lens.
Mhm.
And that kind of just opens you up to a whole new way of looking at something. So it doesn't always have to be this like, super technological advancement. Like sometimes it's just seeing something in a different way
Mhm.
and doing something with it. So I love that. And
Mhm.
you are the one that actually introduced the SOAR analysis to us, and
We've already done it.
we've already implemented
Really?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
told us and we were like, oh, we really loved that
Yeah.
instantly. So we did it.
Yeah, we did it with a client of ours. And
What?
yes,
Yeah.
and it was
That's
amazing.
awesome. See,
Yeah.
SWOT, I love SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But I think SOAR gets at it in a more positive, forward-looking way, because
Yes.
the threats and the opportunities that are in SWOT translate perfectly over to the SOAR method, and you have a positive spin on it.
And I love
Yeah.
that there's a focus on results.
Yes.
Yes.
There's not enough focus on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
And
results?
aspirations helps you like dream bigger,
Yes.
have more of a, 40,000 foot view vision. And then, okay, so what are the actual results that we can use to get us to that greater vision? So yeah,
Yes.
thank you for the inspiration.
Yay. Glad I could help.
But let's talk a little bit more about innovation. That's kind of like the buzzword right now, and that spans across all industries. You're passionate about using innovation to not only stay ahead of the game, but you also kind of hinted at this, that it's also the way to attract the next generation of water nerds. And you can see how you're integrating that in the programs that you all are supporting in local schools related to STEM. We saw a really cool thing about gaming that you guys did at the StratCom's NACWA conference. So, what are some of the strides in innovation that you're most proud of that demonstrate just how cool this industry is?
Well, one of the things I think is the most exciting is that we actually helped to found Innovation Forum. It's called the Mid-Atlantic Innovation Research Council, and in doing that, it really is bringing like minds together, people who want to do something different, make a breakthrough, and then just to share this information that you can leverage what somebody else has done, could save money by pooling together to look at these different innovations. And I just think that that's one of the most exciting things that we've done. But besides that, we also in-house had our first innovation day. And yeah, that was so cool. And it was like kind of mirrored after the Shark Tank, where people could present their innovations and they get feedback from the judges on the spot, telling them, cool emoji face or no bad emoji faces, but some were bigger and better um, uh, uh, buy-in into the project that the presenter was making, the inventor was making. So that is really, I think, the thing that got me so excited about how innovation is taken off, not just from my level on the commissioner's level, because they actually had their own research committee and innovation committee. So it's just tying all together from the top to the bottom to the bottom to the top. And since 2016, we've actually introduced several new innovations to our system. In 2016, we started installing zinc-coated ductile iron pipe, and that's going to extend the life tremendously of our pipes. We have the longest acoustic fiber optic system in all of the United States, over 102 miles. So
Oh
that
my
helps us
gosh.
it helps us to like really get a heads up on when our pipe is failing.
Mhm.
And we have intervened 20 times in the last couple of years to avoid $1 million repairs on large diameter pipe. So that alone has been spectacular. Um, yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
And
and that was actually one of the stories that Jacqueline presented at StratsCom was
ah,
that innovation that came out of what can go wrong when a pipe breaks and how what you're doing is preventing that from happening again, because
Yeah.
we're not talking like little BB pipes, we're talking like pipes that create rivers in roads.
mhm. Yes, you remember that River Road?
Yeah. And so that's a tangible way to
Mhm.
communicate that to the public about like, this is innovation that we're doing and this is what we're preventing by doing it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I love that you're creating the opportunity for your employees to innovate within. And I hope that every director listening is inspired by that and implement something similar to that, because when we talk about what we did and following your passion and doing all of that, Ariane says a lot, we're not saying that everybody should quit their job and start their own company, but we learned that there's these things called entrepreneurs. And those are the people that
Mhm.
within an organization are being able to innovate and to be creative and to start new things. And so that's really what you're creating. And I think that that's incredibly important in our industry to keep people like motivated and inspired. So everyone listening,
Mhm.
listen to Carla.
Hee-hee.
Well,
That's right.
you've been super busy this year. You've made some major changes all at once, including a new rate structure. And y'all essentially practice what we preach all the time of being proactive and transparent. So, can you talk us through that transition and how you engaged your community?
That was the most extensive customer outreach I think I've ever been a part of.
Mhm.
We started early on having meetings with our customers to let them know that we were changing the rate structure after we had the same rate structure for 25 years. And so the first couple of meetings, well, actually, the first meeting was like so raw. We got blown out of the water, didn't know that we were going to have as many people show up. Our room was too small. We had chairs, but then people were in standing room, and they had a lot of great questions that we internalized and thought about how could we in our next outreach effort take that into consideration and improve on what we did. So we had 30 public meetings in all, and that started in the spring of 2017. And then we also had, I guess, if you counted up all the customers who came, it was over 1,500 customers who came, and they generated like 300 comments on the proposed rate structure. We answered every single question.
Awesome.
We also did live streaming of those community meetings. And we had videos on social media. We did English and Spanish outreach. We did every single thing we could think of to make sure that we were as transparent as we possibly could be in involving our customers in something that was going to impact their lives, the rate structure. So, um, we also, by the time we got ready to actually implement the new rate structure, we had open houses. And at that time, we had created an online billing tool that the customers could take their own bill and convert it into this online calculator, and it would tell them what their new bill would be. And
That's awesome.
yeah, some people got pleasant surprise. Some people that their bill was going down, and then those who got the information that their bill was going up, they knew how much more was going to go up. And for everybody, I think it was no more than $4 or something for the average quarterly customer, but they knew what to expect. And I think that that was the key thing, that they knew that what was going to happen, and so it went well by the end. We've actually implemented it now, and we've implemented it with the new billing system at the same time. That's gone pretty well. And a new bill, and a new structure bill, so it doesn't look like your typewriter printed out that bill. Uh,
Ugh.
and then for those, I'm going to go back to those customers who got the information that their bill was possibly going to go up in the new system. We also had on site some affordability partners. So people who are struggling to pay their water bill, if they had any other issues, then these partners were there. We had the Salvation Army was one of the partners. They actually administer our water fund that helps our customers who can't pay the bill. We had all those resources there at the customer's fingertips to know that we wanted to support them any way they needed to be supported to endure this change.
Nice.
I love that you guys started so early when you did.
Yeah.
You really were transparent and really engaged them, and it wasn't like something that you had already decided on and that you're just telling them after the matter of the fact. You had them engaged from the very beginning. And also kudos to you and your staff to being brave enough to coming back and trying again after that first initial one that was just
Oh,
I remember when you were first telling us about this, and I think Chuck was telling us that one of the things you found in that meeting was just that you needed to change your messaging, because
yeah.
people were thinking that you were just talking about a rate increase and not that you were completely restructuring the way that people were going to be billed. And so I really love that as anecdotal evidence of how important it is to listen to your customers and hear what they're hearing. And if they're not hearing what you're trying to communicate, coming back and changing up your messaging and not just saying, well, you heard me wrong, and not changing the message. So like kudos to you guys for doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
let's shift gears a little bit. Diversity and inclusion are another hot topic in our industry right now. You said it's important because we can't all be singing the same song the same way. We need some harmonies, not just a bunch of altos. I love that. So talk to us a little bit about how to build more harmony on your teams and how a little bit of pie helps.
Love that pie.
Oh, you love pie too? Okay. So, so first, I think you have to be passionate about diversity and about including people, and that you do really get better decisions and better outcomes when you have different points of view. I think that's what our outreach to our customers showed us. We saw all kinds of customers interested in a bunch of different things, but because you listen and you try to absorb and understand, then you can make adjustments so that most people can have what they want. Um, I think that we can create more diversity and inclusion in the water sector just by, making some more partnerships, like with some of the universities. I recently went to Howard University with WEF, the Water Environment Federation, to reach out to see how we can create more synergies and have people choose water as opposed to, you know, being chosen by water. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so, so WEF just created a task force actually for diversity and inclusion, and I am so honored that they asked me to be the chair
Oh.
of the committee. And so I'm looking forward to seeing, how I can use my PI, and PI stands for performance, image, and exposure, and particularly the exposure piece, because I
Mhm.
think that when people are exposed to um, the possibilities, that they make good choices. And I know they will choose water when they know more about it and what fulfillment you get out of having a career in water, because it touches every aspect of life.
Yeah, and I love that pie was your way of talking about how people can view inclusion that doesn't necessarily single out a gender or race, but really that you should look at people and how you bring them onto your team in terms of their performance, image, and exposure. And
Mhm.
that's how you can really work towards building people in their careers, both, I'm sure, both professionally and personal too. So I had never heard that acronym before. So, and I'm a fan of acronyms, of course. I work
I
in the
love
water
pie.
industry. And we love pie, and we also talk about pie in terms of a communication strategy. You're not going to hit your audience just using one slice of the pie. It's going to take the whole pie.
Oh,
So
I love that. I
Yep,
yeah,
love that. And and there's plenty of slices to go around for everybody who wants an opportunity.
that's
there
right.
are, yeah, there's so many, man, there's so many mediums and platforms and channels that you can reach people. It's just, yeah, you don't have to stick with one piece.
Exactly. I
All
love it.
right. Here it comes, the issue that we can't believe is an issue in 2019, but women in water. So, in your chat with Travis Loop on your Words on Water podcast interview with him, you said that you're a leader before you're a woman, and snaps to that. But yes, it's annoying, but the truth is there is a huge gap in women in this industry. So, which is okay, because I think we're at this tipping point where women are actually poised to come in and help the industry with some of these great challenges we face.
Mhm.
What are your words of wisdom of how we bring them in? Like, what story do we need to tell to encourage more women to join this water revolution?
Wow, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Um, but an easy one at the same time, because I think that the earlier you expose women and girls to the possibilities in this sector, because they are enormous, from being communication professionals like you are to being engineers. There are just so many things that we can do to teach
Mhm.
and to learn and give an opportunity in this field. One of the things that we do here at WSSC is bring it will introduce a girl to engineering day. In doing
Yes.
that, they get to hang out with all of our cool uh, female engineers, and they hear their personal stories. So just sharing more,
Mhm.
because I can't remember having that much access to people who were actually doing things in the field, certainly not in water.
Mhm.
Because when someone told me you should apply to WSSC, I didn't even know what WSSC. I thought he was telling me to go apply to a radio station. I said, I'm not a communications major. I'm an engineering major. So I just think the availability, and us, the women I know in water, are very, very approachable and accessible, and they want to introduce a girl to engineering. So I
Yes.
think just the fact that we're being deliberate about setting up these opportunities is going to go a long way. We might not see the dividends pay back immediately, but I think the more we do that and stay vigilant to do it, we're going to do that. we're going to bring more women in. And
Mhm.
the internships, that's a great way to get women involved. And I don't know what our ratio is of men to women in our internships, but I think there are more women actually
Nice.
these days. And so those are just the ways that we try to involve women. To bring your child to work day,
Yeah.
all those things, our STEM programming and our STEAM programming, all of that are just different avenues we can take to the same road, get into water.
Love it.
Well, I love that you're such an advocate for lifting each other up. I think that's a really incredibly important message for women to hear, is for us to lift each other up, and especially a woman that's in the position of power that you're in, to know that you're so committed to doing that and to
Mhm.
practicing what you preach. And I want to echo all of the importance of bringing in all the women in STEM, but like, we have so many different opportunities across the industry that it's women in everything and in every aspect of what we do. And so yeah, I'm so proud that like we have someone like you that's kind of representing us at that level, and building and lifting each other up. So appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. I love it. I love it. I love to see people growing and learning and really, making decisions. And if I could have any part of that, that gives me so much joy and pleasure because um, I know how critical this field is.
Mhm.
And so,
Well, we jokingly, lovingly joke that, some engineers aren't the best communicators in the world. Some of our favorite stories are of engineers who thought communication was fluff, but now they're believers. Hashtag Tom Hickman. Um, and as an engineer, were you always a believer, or did that come over time?
hmm, I think I can say I was always a believer, but I don't think appreciate how much work it really takes
Mm.
to do it.
Yeah.
But it's work that pays back so many dividends in the end
Mhm.
that it's so worth the investment. Um, so I appreciate, the types of relationships and partnerships that we build and how much that fuels the whole our ability to communicate even more effectively because we know what different people want and what they need and how to actually make adjustments so that we answer those or take care of those needs. So um, I've always been a believer, but now I'm even like I don't think that I could exist in what I do. Not I don't think. I know I couldn't exist in what I do without the power of communication.
Yeah.
Communication is the universal tool to understanding and to getting things done. And as a matter of fact, I thought that I think I first realized that I needed more work as a communicator when I was trying to be an advocate for
Mm,
my employees as a first line supervisor.
yeah.
And I was not communicating well. I wasn't getting what I wanted. Let's put it that way. I wasn't getting what I wanted. So I had to figure out a way to get what I wanted. And the way that I did that was I went back to school. And I went back to school to get a human resource management degree, and I learned a lot about organizational communications when I was doing that work. So I think I've been much better. I know I have even more to learn and to grow in, into being a better communicator. Um, but I know it's something that my job just wouldn't even be possible without.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a similar experience in that, in terms of like kind of finding out that even doing public education or
Mhm.
roles similar to that, there's also the formal education roles within a city. And in one of the cities that I was at as a public educator, it kind of had like a, um,
She had some beef with the communications department. Let's just say that.
What?
and and so right before that, she asked me to come to this program with her, which we talk about all the time. It's a certified public communicator course that we went through. We became certified public communicators. It's at TCU, or Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. It's a partnership with our state, TAMIO, Texas Association of Municipal Information Officers. And going through that program, I didn't go back to school, but like getting certified through that program taught me that we just were kind of speaking different languages, but saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And that once I learned that language, I could get more done. I could get my goals accomplished faster. And so definitely agree with just when you're in a position where you find that you have a weakness in an area, like, you don't have to go back to school like you did, but there are opportunities out there to kind of learn what you need to fill those gaps.
Just
So
the fact
love that.
Both of you, I know I've done this too, but both of you, saw that gap and, problem solve. Let's go fix it.
So, as communicators, we believe that communication is sort of the Occam's razor to many of the challenges we face, meaning that with all things being equal, that it's the most simplest solution. And communication is a good place to start and something you can start working on today. But effective communication only happens if we're creating messaging with the audience in mind. So, what they need to hear versus what we want to tell them, and it's all about them. So that requires a great deal of empathy when it comes to creating messaging that our audience truly wants or needs. So how do you feel that we can infuse more empathy and the way we communicate to the communities we serve?
One of the first things that I think about when I think about how you have to communicate and what people think when you're communicating with them is sometimes there's a gap, and people in that gap go to MSU. And I'm not talking about Morgan State University or Michigan State University or Mississippi State University. I'm talking about make stuff up.
Yes.
And so, in knowing that, you have to be prepared to know that there are already some thoughts that have been formed, and then how do you pivot from that to actually uh, going through a process where you can really educate. You can position yourself for really educating someone, and then making it interactive by collaborating with them to get them to work with you on this. And the ultimate form of knowing that you've been successful at it is that people start to advocate for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've gone through this whole process with them and you've built up this trust. And so I think that those are the things that really are the difference makers when it comes to communications. Really having the deep down desire. People know when you don't really want to know what they think,
Mm-hmm.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and so just to be, just absorb what they're saying. What does that mean? And clarify, and go back and forth until you actually get to a place where you're operating on all cylinders and everybody is communicating. And then one of the things that I have asked, I don't make it mandatory, but we offer um, the Seven Habits class,
Ooh,
Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. One of his seven habits is seek first to understand, then to be understood.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And try to practice that all the time because it's so easy to jump to a place where where you're totally on different pages. You're not on the same page. And so when someone feels that you are really trying to understand where they're coming from, um, then they get satisfied. And then you can ultimately get what you need because now you have been able to consider the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think it was Jackie Lambiase, who's one of the professors through the CPC program, is talked about how that's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, because we're supposed to listen more than we speak. So that's what I think about when I think about how important it is to listen and to understand before we just, start thinking up what our next response is going to be. So
Or
thank you
making
for that.
stuff, even worse, making stuff up. I mean,
MSU, like,
that's hard to turn around.
see, you just keep on giving us all these like funny little tidbits and acronyms. We got SOAR, we got PI, we got MSU. We're just,
Okay, yay,
just full of it today, full of wisdom today.
groovy.
All right. Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us. So we're about to wrap up with what we call our lightning round, which I am going to let Ariane kick off.
Okay, Miss Carla, what's your favorite book right now that you can recommend to us?
Okay, it is Relentless.
Ooh.
Relentless, and it's by Tim S. Grover. And there's like a subtitle to Relentless.
Okay.
The subtitle is From Good to Great to Unstoppable.
Ooh.
Love it.
Yes, I love this book. Um, Tim Grover is a trainer, and he trained Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade and
Okay.
somebody else who's really famous. But it just talks about how they're in a relentless category, like in not with anybody else. It's that they always go, if there's an extra mile, they going 10 extra miles. They're doing 10x. So this is about being unstoppable and going way beyond what you thought you could do to get what you have to get done with nothing in your way.
Wow.
Love it. Well, that sounds like the perfect book for someone who wants to be the world-class water utility to be reading.
Yes.
So makes sense.
What's something that you do every day that drives your productivity?
Well, every day I think about, I get up first and I do meditation, prayer, read something that's going to inspire me for the day. Sometimes that reading is one of those like devotional things that have every day. There's something you can read, or reflecting on what the day is going to be like. What do I want out of the day? I'm beginning with the end in mind. Talk about Stephen Covey. I'm beginning with the end in mind. What do I want to get done this day? And also, the last thing I think I do is I try to close the loop on things that have not been done. Where is this thing? Where is that thing? And so when I come to work, I'm ready to rock and roll, or I'm going into my weekend. I know what I want to do. So that's it. So it's a little bit of reflection, it's a little bit of planning, and it's a little bit of what results did I get?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think if breakfast is the most important meal of the day, like kind of how you get your mind right is also one of the most important things you can do in the day too, because it just kind of sets your trajectory for the day. So I couldn't think
It
of
sure does.
So in our line of work, we're talking about kind of behavior change. Ariane and I have heard people say, well, what does it matter if I make a change? I'm just one person. It's not going to make a difference, which we obviously wholeheartedly disagree with. We believe that one person making a change can be contagious and can, maybe ultimately change the world someday. So what's the one call to action that you're most passionate about that you believe could ultimately change the world?
A sense of urgency. Just a sense of urgency. Just do it now. I mean, it's too much waiting, too much pondering, too much, all of this stall, kick down the road. If we just do more, not more crazy things, but more things that are going to get us closer to our goal. So I think just the urgency of just do it.
Yes.
And whatever comes out of it comes out of it. I don't believe that anything that happens is for anything that's going to be bad. I think that everything happens either for you to learn a lesson if it doesn't work, or you can celebrate it when it does work. And either way, I win. So, but it's urgency. Let's get it. Let's get our minds and hearts in the position to win and get results.
I love that, especially in this industry. We get a little bit of paralysis by analysis.
And death by committee.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been the victim of those too.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So
I
Carla
mean,
Reid says, just do it, guys.
just
Right.
do it.
Just do it.
Well, I totally appreciate your time today. It was a great conversation. We were really
Loved
looking
it.
forward to this one ever since we got the opportunity to meet you in real life at Imagine H2O. So we hope we get to bump into you again at WEFTech as well. So thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you. Thank you. We got the clappers going in the background.